Hi, I'm Darlene Carman, and welcome to the show. When you think about crashing waves, twisted trees, wildlife, and other features of nature at its best, what comes to your mind? For me, it's the Monterey Peninsula. When the weather warms, it'll be swarming with visitors. I have invited Tammy Blount-Canavan, President and CEO of the Monterey County Convention and Visitors Bureau, to tell us what Monterey is doing to promote responsible tourism. Hi, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for driving.
Really, my pleasure.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Is it accurate to say that tourism in Monterey is on the upswing? And if that's true, what do you think is causing that?
I'd like to think that we're causing that. We have seen consistent growth for the last several years, and in fact some growth ahead of the pace of the rest of California and of the United States. Part of that is we launched a new brand after doing some research, talking to our customers and how they feel about Monterey and what makes it magic for them. And they told us that when they visit and after they've gone back, they feel like they've been transformed, that their soul has been transformed. And so from that, we launched a campaign called Grab Life by the Moments. And it's really an invitation for people to come and enjoy the best of Monterey County and all that it has to offer. So, of course, there's all kinds of other things that drive. We've got iconic places like Pebble Beach and WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca and the aquarium that all, in their own right, do a great job in marketing all of our great hotel properties and stuff. So, Food. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you might have seen that there has been an announcement that there will be a new California Michelin guide, and Monterey will be one of the few cities featured in that as well. That'll come out early June. So, lots of agriculture, lots of great reasons to visit Monterey County, and I think that we've done a great job collectively as a community talking about what that is.
Well, I have to say, being an artist, it's a magnet for artists. And not just painters like me, but filmmakers. And I have to tell you that I was watching a movie the other night, I think it was 1963, with Boris Karloff and Jack Nicholson, called The Terror, about a French soldier like in the 1800s. And he got stuck, found his way to a castle. But the whole thing is it was supposed to be filmed in Europe.
Right.
And all of a sudden I'm watching the movie and I recognized the same picture that I had painted, and it was Big Sur at the beach.
Funny.
And it's like, and I know, you probably know how many movies and television shows, but I mean, there's a ton of them, right? There
are. In fact, there's even a movie tour that you can take in Monterey that visits all of those movie sites and everything. Yeah, there is. And so from Play Misty for Me to, so many other great films and shows, and of course, Big Little Lies. The series on HBO is launching season 2 as well. So yeah, it's beautiful scenery, right? Car commercials and all kinds of film. We've got a great film commission that works with those location scouts and helps find the right spots.
Well, I think a lot of that, brings in a lot of people, but sometimes it can be a little bit too much. So I have been reading some different news accounts, and one of them was Bixby Bridge, and that's in Big Sur.
Yes.
And can you fill us in what happened there?
Well, Bixby Bridge and a couple of the other really iconic places along the Big Sur coast, Pfeiffer Beach and Point Lobos on the way down, really have become sort of bucket list places or selfie stops, right? And so we see a lot of congestion around those iconic spots that everybody captures and posts on social media and other places. So yeah, Bixby Bridge has been one of those congestion points especially on holiday weekends and during busy season, which is getting longer and longer each year. So we're trying to help address that by diversifying the imagery that we use and helping people understand that there's more than just one stop in Big Sur where you can take your photo and enjoy that beautiful scenery.
I read that there was some sort of campaign where they were passing out flyers and actually trying to encourage, being friendly to the tourists, but trying to encourage them, a pledge.
Yes. So
could you talk about that?
Yeah, the Community Association of Big Sur which is primarily property owners and residents of Big Sur, have been collectively talking about how to help really visitors, how to be great hosts and how to help visitors enjoy their experience and not run into a congested type of experience like that. So they've developed the Big Sur Pledge, and they went out the weekend before New Year's and went out and had placards and invited people to take the Big Sur Pledge. There's a link on our website, and I think it's bigsurpledge.net, but I'll look that up. And people can go on and read what it is. And it's really about just respecting the land and the people and the ethos and what makes Big Sur such a beautiful spiritual experience. You know, it's got great scenery, but there's just such a calm that comes over you when you get to visit and be a part of that. So we want to make sure that everybody gets to enjoy that, the people that live there, the people that visit there, and the future generations to come. It's important.
Have you heard anything about how that's gone, how that campaign has gone? Because a little bit of time now has passed, and I don't read anything where I am.
It's pretty new, you know. Pretty new. It's sort of incorporated into a lot of other messaging that we're trying to get out about responsible tourism.
So you haven't got any feedback yet from the people that have gotten the campaign and oh, this is pretty cool, and you know, results. Is it getting better?
Is it getting better? I think that there's a lot of road to travel on some of those congested areas, and trying to get the message out. You know, this is a great opportunity for me to talk about that, and really because so many of the visitors that come to Monterey County and to Big Sur have been there before. They're from the Bay Area often, and so they're not necessarily looking for ideas on how to spend their time or where to go. And so we're really trying to get that messaging out to places where we can catch you, whether that's visiting with you here or in local restaurants or hotels or other places where people might find that information if they haven't been doing research before they get to the destination.
Well, tourism is so healthy for the local economy, so that's like one hand. But then the other hand is like, how do you try to balance when you have more tourists and they want to trample, on these delicate areas? What is the balance there? What are you doing? I mean, it's just so hard.
That's really important, isn't it? Because the whole purpose of tourism is to benefit the quality of life of the residents. So it's certainly about the economic impact. For Monterey County, we have 4.5 million overnight visitors each year. Wow. We have another 3 million day visitors. It creates $2.5 billion with a B in overall economic impact each year, and supports 25,000 jobs. So it's really important for our local economy. But it's also there to facilitate cultural exchange and to, you know, to make sure that the places that we as residents love to patronize, whether that's restaurants or attractions or just the hiking trails and paths, we have to have that visitor economy in order to sustain those things that we love to enjoy. So that balance is really important, and really what we're trying to do is listen to the community and where the frustrations are, keep an eye on where the pinch points might be, whether that's parking issues or congestion issues, behavioral issues, and then trying to launch marketing messaging about that, both on social media as well as in market. So if you come and visit Monterey or its surrounding areas, you're probably going to see some sort of messaging from us about why we don't have plastic straws, and why we don't just put a glass of water down in front of you in a restaurant, and just trying to explain our behavior to those that aren't from here and really don't necessarily understand the heavy lean on conservation that we take as residents, and how that's really in our DNA. So when people are wanting to travel like a local and they really want to understand how do we feel and be a part of our culture, then that's part of their education, is making sure that they're aware of our customs and our expectations of their behavior, and also helping them understand where the conveniences are that they need. So not everybody driving down to Big Sur knows that there's not a lot of bathrooms.
And so, bring that up.
Yeah, you have to get that out. And where can you camp legally? Where you know you need to make a reservation. So just helping people understand where to find that information is a big part of helping that behavior be modified so that it's responsible and respectful, and leaves the area available for people to enjoy it for generations to come.
Do you think that the people understand that your area has gone through fire? Bridge has been washed out?
Right.
So a little bit more on that?
That's kind of hard to avoid, I think. During any of the wildfires over the last decade, and most certainly the Sobranis fire in 2016, there was huge global news coverage on that, and with the bridge having to be replaced and the mudslides.
Totally replaced?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it had to be dismantled and rebuilt, which, to everyone's credit, got done in 7 months, which is nothing short of a government miracle, I'm going to say. But with the slides on the south, too, so there's a lot of information, there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of uncertainty about that, and working to try and just make sure that accurate information is available is really important. But we're not the only community in California that has suffered from wildfires and disasters, and certainly
Yes.
So many areas have been really tragically hit. So we work with Visit California, the state tourism agency, who has international offices in 13 different countries that really help us get that message out on, please be respectful and sensitive to the pain that we're feeling from some of those disasters, but also know that we need you. Our economy, and it needs to recover, and so we're depending upon you to come and respectfully visit.
Well, there's so many areas that I've read about that I am concerned about, and they recover. That's the bottom line. But one that I particularly like is Multnomah Falls, and I just read, I think it's called Benson Bridge. Love that bridge, but you can't hike up to it right now because it's been, I guess, the rains and washed out a little bit. But and they just repaired that. That's the whole thing, is they just got through repairing it, and now I guess there's more damage. And then I've read about other areas where it's temporary, that they've had problems, and a lot of it if there's a shutdown and they don't have the staff to take care of these places. So it is like you say, it's all over. It's not just Monterey. But what's key about Monterey is they really do something about it, and they keep a very close watch on what's going on.
Certainly, yeah, I think that's critical. Everybody needs to stay safe, and we want to enjoy everything, but we want to enjoy that in a very safe way and make sure that first and foremost our residents and our local businesses are protected, and certainly those that are visiting, we want to make sure that nobody's in harm's way.
And your residents, they never give up. From what I understand, they're
very resilient. Yes, very resilient. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, your work, is so much more than just tourism, promoting tourism. You actually do a lot of conventions. So what is responsible tourism from the point of view of all of the conferences that you go to? What is their take on it?
So it's interesting because we have a client advisory board, and they really help us understand the minds of a meeting planner or business event strategist, they're called now.
Okay.
And the whole idea of holding a meeting in a responsible business, a responsible location, so that they know that waste is being minimized, that there are green practices happening, that there's an opportunity for social responsibility activities for delegates. All of those things are becoming increasingly important to meeting planners. And so that's a really good fit for Monterey. Our new conference center, or newly renovated conference center, feels brand new, is going for Platinum LEED certification, which is a building designation. The Portola Hotel has that. So, and there are so many green practices that we have throughout Monterey. So it's an important conversation to have because it's a concern, particularly with new generations of meeting planners. As younger people are coming on and making those decisions, those factors become much more important. So they really are hungry and a much easier group to communicate with because they're captive, right? We know where they're staying, we know where they're holding their meeting, and so they're a little bit easier to reach to help know how they can be responsible when they visit.
So what have you learned overall from, you travel on these conventions, you travel. So what is the biggest thing that you've learned from going to, going away, not in Monterey area, way?
I do get to go away a lot.
Yes.
And I've learned that we're not alone. So,
Right.
the challenges that we have are similar. Certainly our area is very unique, and when you're trying to talk to people that are visiting Big Sur, for an example, there's little to no cell phone reception. There's not a lot of radio reception, and you certainly can't put billboards up along a scenic highway there. So getting messaging out is a much different challenge in Big Sur than it is in a lot of places. But globally, The affordability of travel, the accessibility of travel, and the accessibility of information and the influence of social media has had an enormous effect and seen just global travel grow much faster, I think, than anybody has been ready for. And so the issues that we're facing are certainly worldwide, and it's nice to be able to trade those stories and those best practices with other places.
Well, when you're working with other places, the conventions that you go to, are you trying to work on something that's universal, that you're all having the same kind of language viewpoint and maybe trying the same methods, or?
You know, it's a universal conversation in language for sure, particularly when we're talking about crowding or congestion issues or resident frustrations. Those things are common worldwide. The solutions, though, really have to be tailored to the community, because how we feel as a community is different than how Amsterdam's going to feel, or Reykjavik, Iceland, or other places around the world. And so the solutions are very different depending on where you're looking. But
how is
we're
it
all
different?
able to look to one another for best practices and take an element from here and an element from there. So in some cases, they've got very bold messaging that we probably wouldn't put out here. It's maybe not as polite as we'd like to be.
Yes, yes.
And sometimes, you know, they're just different programs. So I think we're able to take the best of the best from a lot of places and
Yes.
continually learn from one another and share what we're doing so that people can implement some of the things that we've got going here.
Well, that's the whole idea, because you're not all the same, but I have read, it seems like when they make a series or they make a movie, then everybody wants to go visit that place, and that can be certainly overwhelming when you have more tourists than residents. That's got to be bad.
Well, we already have more tourists than residents, and we've had for a long, you know, Monterey County has less than 500,000 population. But, you know, as I mentioned, 4.5 million overnight visitors every year. So
Wow.
there's already that, and that's quite common. They're called a transient population, right? So they're not permanent residents,
Right,
but
right.
they're leaning on the resources that we all need. But they're also sustaining the resources that we need. So remembering the tax dollars that come in, that we don't have to then subsidize through either proproperty taxes or
Yes.
other taxes
Which
is really
is nice.
important.
Yes.
So through hotel taxes and sales taxes and other fees that they're paying, they're really helping us to pay for the sustainable continuity of whatever that is, whether it's infrastructure or other amenities.
Yeah, that's like, wow. Well, what kind of, are you doing any like ad campaigns that you're trying to get through to the people, how they can help save habitats, and you know, have anything going on there with ad campaigns, posters, or anything?
We do. So we have what we call Sustainable Moments campaign, and I think we've got an image of
You want to see pictures
a little
now?
bit of it, yeah, from
Let's
the
see some
campaign.
pictures
Yeah.
now. We've got about
So
4.
Sustainable Moments is a play off our tagline of grab life by the moments, and it really is about visiting responsibly. So on our website and our messaging, we've got tips on how to be responsible visitors, stay on the trail, how to find legal camping, where are the restrooms, you know, what are our local customs, and really understanding that, and that's customized by the different areas throughout Monterey County. So Big Sur is different from Carmel, Carmel is different from Pacific Grove, different from Monterey, et cetera, et cetera. If you flip to another picture there, you'll see the next one. We've got some collateral that's out in the community. This here is a tent card that you might see in a hotel room, or you might see it in a restaurant table or somewhere else, that has some local tips about water conservation, about how to don't get too close to the wildlife kind of stuff, and how to be a responsible traveler throughout Monterey County. The next one there is a menu insert, so you might find this with your menu or your check in a restaurant that talks about sustainable seafood and the farm to fork practices that we have, or why you don't have a plastic straw, you know, all of those kinds of things are noted on here. And then the last one here is sort of a business card size. It'll come up any second, and that's, we designed it as a check-in packet, so when you get your hotel key, you get this little card that encourages you to be a responsible visitor. But we're also seeing that just posted as in business cards style, in a little business card holder on a counter at a hotel or other places. We do some advertising, but a lot of it, where it really gets picked up is on social media, or on these collateral pieces that are distributed throughout the county. And you'll see decals in windows also that say, "Enjoy your visit responsibly." And then our website on where you can get tips on how to do that.
That helps. All of that helps.
We're working on it. Yeah, yeah. You know, we do travel trade education. So for through Visit California's tour operator and travel agent training programs, the message of visiting responsibly is worked through that messaging. We are promoting green meetings and looking for green meeting planners to come and hold their meetings here so that we can expand that. So really filtering that through all of the messaging and all of the things that we do. We've gotten Monterey acknowledged on the Global Sustainability Destination Index, so the top U.S. destination ranked currently, which is great. And we're working on a plastics in the event industry initiative to help have that conversation too, and about how Monterey is a leader in that. So,
wow,
we're trying.
I'm just wondering, how long have you been at the Convention and Visitors Bureau?
I've been there 7 years. Yeah,
7 years.
yeah. I first visited in 2010 for the U.S. Open, which we get back this June, and just fell in love with the area. And not too long after that, my predecessor left, and I was vicious about it. I wanted to be here in a bad way.
So you came to Monterey 7 years ago?
Yes.
I'm
originally from Vancouver, Canada. I came directly from Washington State, though.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty. You just got right in there. So your favorite places that you like to go, are you a hiker or what do you do?
Oh my gosh. I spend a lot of time at kids' soccer games. But I do, I love just, any opportunity to get outdoors. So there's so many great hiking trails.
Yes.
And all over the county, going wine tasting in the Carmel Valley or South County. There are so many great things to do in Monterey. It's hard to pick a favorite.
It's hard. It's really hard because everywhere you go, there's something to see. One of the places that I really like is Point Lobos.
Oh, yeah.
And so when I was doing research for the show, I found out that Point Lobos is going to soon have some sort of monitoring system, a reservation type system. I think it's for day trippers. That's going to be coming up this year.
Yes.
So what can you tell us about that?
So Point Lobos is implementing a reservation system. I don't have the details of it yet, but there will be a reservation system, and that's really to help just manage the visitors that are coming through, so that they're sort of spreading out those visitation times and managing the traffic in there a little bit better, as well as the parking. You'll also see parking prohibited on one side of the highway, so that's a little bit safer. And trying to experiment with that and see if they can sort of reduce the wear and tear on the park, but still make sure that it's available for everyone to enjoy.
What do you think is the problem? I know my favorite thing was walking along the tide pools. That was my thing. I liked. But I've done the long circuit and so forth. But then I really liked the tide pools. So how do they manage monitoring? Is there like where you have to take a tour and you have to follow the guide on these places, or are you pretty much on your own?
I haven't heard anything about them offering a guide, so it'll still be on your own. And hopefully people are sticking to the trails and the safely marked areas, and staying out of the places they shouldn't be.
Don't drown.
That's part of it. But I think the reservation system really is just designed to manage the influx, so that not everybody gets there at 9 o'clock in the morning, right? And trying to manage the congestion a little bit by just having a more organized system of entry to the park.
That's probably a good idea.
Yep.
Is that the only place that they're going to try something like this? What about Pfeiffer?
Pfeiffer has an experimental shuttle system between parking and going to. Yeah.
How long's that been going on?
Just launched last year. And to try and mitigate, again, some of the parking and traffic issues on a pretty narrow road. So a couple of experiments to see how that's working out. And I haven't heard of anything else concrete yet, but you buy a ticket for a movie and you sit in your designated seat, right? And so making a reservation at Point Lobos and staying on the trails is probably a doable thing, I think.
Probably a good idea. And if they can watch the tide, make sure You know, we have just a couple minutes more. What else would you like the public to know that they might not know about your area?
You know, we love that so many Bay Area residents love our area.
Yes.
You know, when I travel, I talk about where I'm from. Without exception, someone has a story, a memory that they have, and that is really wonderful. I would love to invite people to share those stories and why it's important to them that people visit responsibly. You know, helping to share that message and say, love the place I love just like I love it, and make sure that future generations and tomorrow's visitor can come and love it too. So,
Oh, wait a minute. Are you
yeah.
saying that there's a website or something that they can respond to, or how?
Just go on
how
social
it-
media, you know,
Uh-huh.
where
That's-
yeah, go on social media and talk about that. Hashtag See Monterey or hashtag Monterey, or go to our Facebook page or Instagram or whatever it is you do, and you know, share your stories and the pictures that you love about our area, and
That's
help,
a good thing.
help your neighbors know how much
Yeah.
you love it and how important it is to take care of it, because it's precious and it's fragile and it's magical, and we want to make sure that it stays
Word
that
of
way.
mouth. I think, you know, that's the thing. If people have a good time, they're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And if they don't have a good time, they'll talk about it. But I think it's so important in areas like this. I know that the aquarium does a very good job
Yes.
of talking about seafood, what's responsible, what's not, or
Yeah.
sustainable is their favorite word. You know, what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat,
Right.
and so forth. And they do a very good job of, there's not a problem there, right? With too many people? No.
Great partners. They're great partners in helping us spread the
So
word and
they're
understand.
able to manage, they're not having a problem with too many people at one time, right?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, I mean, certainly during high season, there's traffic, and that's
course.
just what you're going to get.
Well, going back to Multnomah, I remember first time I went there, nobody there. Went back on a weekend, years later, parking lot was like, bad. So in other words, it's true, if you can manage to go when it's not all that.
Yeah, pick your time. You're going to have a better experience, right?
Yeah. But anyway, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
And we'd like to invite people, when you're visiting a place, enjoy it and take away your love and your memories, but leave everything else behind for the living beings that call it home. Thank you. Thanks for watching the show, and watch again.